I've been around veterans my whole life. I knew that the impact of, connecting to the outdoors could be really helpful.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Wisconsin's Outdoor Explorer. I am your host, Jason. Part of what I'm trying to do with Wisconsin Outdoor Explorer is to highlight people and organizations that work towards helping themselves as well as others get back into the outdoors. Getting outside and away from your everyday life is not only relaxing for most of us, but for some, it's very therapeutic. Recently, I talked with Eric Falkner, the CEO of Wisconsin Hero Outdoors. Now, the mission of Wisconsin Hero Outdoors is to help connect veterans as well as first responders and their families to outdoor activities throughout the state. They gather together and they use camaraderie and outdoor activities to address both physical and mental health challenges brought on by the stresses of their service. And on today's podcast, Eric tells us a little bit more about Wisconsin Hero Outdoors and what they're doing to help those who help us. Joining me today is Eric Falkner, the CEO of Wisconsin Hero Outdoors. Thank you for joining me today, Eric.
Glad to be here.
Tell us, what is Wisconsin Hero Outdoors? What is it? How did you start it? Give us a little background.
Sure. Well, it's a really great story. A personal friend of mine introduced me to an individual while I was going through treatment at the Milwaukee VA. I was talking to this individual about, just looking for something to do to get reconnected to some things that I enjoyed in life, like fishing and just being back out in the woods and hunting and different things like that. And he himself was a Marine Corps veteran, a combat veteran from Vietnam. And he referred me to Jason Bartle, who's ended up becoming one of my really close friends and actually the co-founder of Wisconsin Hero Outdoors. But the long and short, the Marine that referred me, his name is Dan Van Buskirk. So I called Jason up and I said, Dan told me that you enjoy the outdoors and you were looking for a veteran to go out with and maybe get back into doing some of the things that you enjoy out in the outdoors too. So we ended up connecting, and he said, well, I'm actually taking a few veterans up to a friend of mine's cabin in Crivets, Wisconsin to do a little kayak fishing. And I'd always loved canoe fishing, gone up to the Boundary Waters with my dad for, since I've been 9 years old. And this was going to be November of 2016. So I thought, well, these guys are crazy enough to go kayak fishing in November in Crivets. I'll at least go to just check it out. I was at a place personally where I'd been isolating. I just did not want to be in talking to other people or really doing anything. And so I was just at that point where I knew I had to do something different. And so I kind of took the gamble and got in my truck and drove, 3 hours or whatever it is up to meet these guys who I'd never met before. And to be perfectly honest, I had full intentions of kind of going there and being like, you know what, this isn't for me, and just turning around and coming back home. But when I got there, there was zero expectations from me. It was come as you are. It wasn't like they were checking DD-214s or, military status or first responder status or anything like that. So we just got into talking about fishing gear and making a game plan for the weekend for where we wanted to fish. And luckily we had beautiful weather. It was still a little chilly. It was an event or an outing, I guess, that really changed my life. While I was out in the kayak, I had a very negative outlook on life, and just being out in nature and finally being quiet and just, I guess, kind of having like a gap where I could rethink about how I was thinking about things. I guess that was the biggest takeaway for me. And I really started thinking about, all the different things in life that are important to me and that I should be thankful for, and just even the opportunity to just be on a kayak out fishing and meeting some good new people really put that spark back into to my life personally. So those individuals, those veterans I fished with, are all still great friends. I consider them brothers today. And we knew that after that weekend had ended, that we had something special. And for me personally, it was so impactful that I wanted to duplicate that feeling for other individuals. And I've got a background in working at summer camps, and I've been going to Camp American Legion, which is in northern Wisconsin, for almost 38 years. My dad volunteered up there as a physical therapist. He worked at the Milwaukee VA, so I've been around veterans my whole life. I knew that the impact of, connecting to the outdoors could be really helpful. So one thing kind of led to another, and we just started doing some more outings, primarily revolving around kayak fishing. We just found that really peaceful and helpful for a lot of individuals. But as we started doing more and more individuals got interested, and we wanted to expand the different opportunities that we could take people out on. We've got different guys and gals that are interested in hunting or scuba diving and different things like that. So we knew that we had to take some steps to formalize as an organization, as a nonprofit, if we really wanted to take it to the next level. So we were fortunate to be connected to Waukesha County Community Foundation to help us really put the starting block of the foundations into Wisconsin Hero Outdoors. So that's really where we started off as a 501c3 endowment, where we could start collecting donations and really start amping up our equipment and expanding the different opportunities that we could offer to veterans and first responders. A number of the individuals that I fished with up in Crivets were either former federal agents or first responders, police officers, firefighters. And so we wanted to, and a lot of the stresses that you deal with as a veteran translate into first responder work as well, as far as, the different forms of PTSD and just the stresses of that kind of work. And just the nature of first responder work and veterans, there's a lot of crossover. I'd say probably 80% of the individuals that we go out with have served in the military and are also first responders. So that was kind of a natural inclusion for us to have first responders as a part of that. We partnered with Waukesha County Community Foundation. They're like a $50 million fund. They've got all the legal assets, or all the legal capabilities, the financial management tools, all the things that we didn't necessarily have a ton of experience in. They really helped provide that for us so we could focus on the mission, which was connecting veterans and first responders and their families, which was really important to us, to the outdoors. Jason and I both are stay-at-home dads due to some injuries that we've sustained, and he's got 2 little kids, and I've got 2 little kids, and being able to not take mom or dad away on a outdoor excursion away from their family, we wanted to be able to make sure some of those opportunities we could include families as well, because that's what we wanted in our life. So again, it was going back to that, trying to duplicate what we had started in Crivets for others. So the relationship with WCCF, Waukesha County Community Foundation, helped us really blossom. And then shortly after that, I had applied for further legal help, because we knew that between waivers and all the different things that it takes to run just a business in general, or needed to also run a 501c3. So I had applied for UW-Madison's legal and entrepreneurial clinic assistance, and that's where the UW Law School will provide legal help pro bono by not only their staff of lawyers, but also students who are about to graduate the law program there. So we've had a tremendous amount of help from their legal team as far as making sure that all of our legal backbone stuff is in order and totally transparent. None of that which we have to pay for, which is huge. So we've been able to keep our operating expenses at virtually zero as far as administrative type expenses, which has allowed us to have 100% of our donations go into actually buying equipment, fishing gear, kayaks, and food for events and gas and all that good stuff that goes along with running these. So that's really, I guess, the initial foundation of how we started.
It's a great story, and that one thing that I caught my eye when I read about it was the first responders. I think we forget about that sometimes, that the stress that they go through is quite a bit in most instances. So I really thought that was really cool that you guys included first responders as well as veterans in the group.
Absolutely. I mean, we just had a firefighter, unfortunately, was shot and killed yesterday in Appleton. I mean, a lot of especially, people don't really necessarily consider the volunteer element of our fire rescue teams either. These are individuals who have regular jobs and then respond to these very traumatic incidences and then have to go home and have dinner with their families. It's something that we felt, and being a firefighter myself, I felt, very passionate about making sure that those individuals are included too, because the mental health aspect of where do you go to get treatment, or where do you go to even just ask for help? If you're in, a civil service type position, it can be challenging because it can be potentially looked at as a black mark in your file if you actually ask for help, or maybe even looked down on because you're dealing with a challenge of a traumatic call or just a series of stressful situations. So we wanted to make sure that this could be something where individuals and families could come to and participate in without having to maybe necessarily get that, quote unquote black mark in their file and still get some help at least.
You mentioned the kayak fishing. Have you been able to expand into some of the other things? Yeah,
absolutely. In fact, just last weekend, we did our first introduction to scuba diving. We partnered up with Stillwater Diving in Delafield, and we took a group of about 8 veterans who were inpatients at the Milwaukee VA out to the Pabst YMCA in Oconomowoc, and we were able to get them in all the dive equipment and have them start from scratch and learn some of the dive basics. So that was an incredible event. When the veterans walked in to the pool that day and when they left was just like night and day. So as a rescue diver myself, I was also on the dive team from the Guanaco dive team, and so I really enjoy that, and that was a personal skill that I wanted to bring to the table. But one of the other things that we really pride ourselves on as an organization is that, as veterans and first responders, we've all been involved in other types of organizations as well, whether it's the VFW or American Legion and or just other, veteran outings. We wanted to make sure that, if we couldn't do a certain type of an outing, that we could at least point a veteran or a first responder in the right direction to get connected. So for, I would say, 25 to 30% of our mission is just helping get veterans and first responders connected to other organizations, which we've had a tremendous amount of success with. To give you an example of that would be an organization that we've partnered with, United Special Sportsmen's Alliance, who primarily started out doing hunting and fishing trips for children with disabilities and have recently expanded into helping out veterans and doing veteran hunts, whether it's pheasant hunting or some get taken down to Texas for boar hunts, different things like that. And there's been a number of opportunities in Wisconsin where if we haven't been able to set up the hunt ourselves, we've been able to get the veteran into those programs with USSA, and that's been a great relationship because, believe it or not, one of the challenges that organizations like ours and theirs have is physically getting participants to the events. People are always interested and they want to do it, but just like myself, it had to be the right time. I had to be in the right mindset to actually want to physically go there and do this and participate. And even though these are like world-class events and free and expenses paid and all that kind of stuff, it's a step outside the personal comfort zone. And, when it comes to be that day where you've got to get in the truck or in the car and actually go and step outside your comfort zone a little bit, that can be a challenge. So one of the things that, all our founders and a lot of our volunteers who are veterans have all gone through various forms of treatment at the VA, whether it's been for physical or mental, myself included. We can have that initial trust factor when people are coming to us about, do I really want to go out and do this, or what's this going to be like? Or, they need some assurances that, they're not going to get paraded around. It's not going to be some type of a spectacle, and that it really is going to be something that's designed to help them, not just be something that a company and an organization can just slap a sticker that says, we serve veterans on. So we're very conscious of that. So the opportunities to do things outside of just kayak fishing, absolutely. I think we just set up a bear hunt coming up for September for an individual. We had an individual who was very kind to donate their bear tags. We just did a pheasant hunt, and we've got a great partnership with Waukesha County Land Conservancy as well, who's got some opportunities to allow us to use some nuisance tags for deer. So there's a number of opportunities outside of just kayak fishing. And with our new camp, Lakewood, down in Lake Geneva, we'll have fly fishing classes that we can get people introduced into fly fishing, fly tying. We'll have regular fishing from the shore. That particular lake is an 80-acre lake or 75-acre lake, so we'll only be doing paddle type sport fishing on that, but it's only about 10 minutes away from Lake Geneva proper, and so we'll have some opportunities to go fishing out there with local guides who have offered their services. The Boathouse Marina has offered their pontoons to us if we want to take day excursions out. We've got Beachside Boat and Bait here on Pewaukee Lake, donated use of their pontoons that we've taken veterans out fishing on pontoons. And so, yeah, there's a wide variety. I mean, if it's outdoors, we'll either do it or get somebody connected to somebody who can.
What is it about the outdoors, do you think, that connects you guys? I mean, because you could be doing things in gyms,
yeah.
You know what I mean, basketball, things like that. What is it about the outdoors?
That's a really good question. It's a loaded question because it's a very personal thing. People come to us, or we find, individuals at very different phases of their lives. Some are just coming back from deployments. Some are, Vietnam era or even older era veterans who this is their first time really feeling comfortable getting involved with an organization. So it's a very personal connection that happens. So the way I like to describe it is that, we set the platform, or we provide the platform, whether it's fishing or hunting or whatever, and make sure that there's zero expectations going into the event, that the veteran or the first responder or the family goes in knowing that they're going to make of that event what they want to make of it. We're not telling them they have to catch a trophy fish or they have to even pick up the fishing pole. I mean, I can't tell you how many times we've done kayak fishing events where we've had somebody just, we'll give them the sack lunch or the snack for the day. They put it in the kayak hull. They paddle out to the middle of the lake and take a nap. I mean, if that's your idea of what you want to get for that day. And some days that's what I want to do. I mean, I love fishing, but there are some days where I just, kind of want to stare at the water.
Yeah.
But, and so again, that's a very personal experience of how that connects. But the nice thing about it is that, some people ask us, why are you called Wisconsin Hero Outdoors versus Wisconsin Heroes Outdoors? And we focus on the individual, but it's in a group setting. So if you do want to maybe reconnect with that sense of camaraderie, that's there for you, but it's not required. If you don't want to, we're not sitting around the campfire sharing war stories or bad calls or things like that unless you want to. We're not doctors, we're not therapists, and those conversations will happen naturally if they're needed. I mean, it's very individual, and I can tell you from myself personally what it was when I was sitting out in a kayak for the first time, looking around and seeing the trees and the sun, and for the first time I realized there's like trillions of things happening right now that are conspiring to keep me alive. Like there's enough oxygen in the air. I mean, it sounds kind of hippy-dippy, I guess, if you want to call it that, but it was just one of those aha moments for me where I had my mindset was that the world was against me, and having that moment to just take a breath and find that gap again where I could realize that there's a lot of things that are really good, and I'm here for a reason, and that's what the spark was for me. And again, we try to provide just that platform or that opportunity for whatever that spark might be for that person on that given day, because there's no silver bullets, but we just know that when you can appreciate and be in nature, good things happen.
Then this next question might be kind of, again, hard to answer just because it is so personal, but what do you think your veterans and first responders are getting out of these events and the time together?
I would say from the feedback that I get, it's that I'm not alone. That's the biggest takeaway. I'm not alone. Life's not perfect for everybody else except me, and I've got problems that somebody else is having too. And holy cow, maybe I can actually talk about it with somebody and feel comfortable in that environment, or not. And it's a Kickstarter for developing personal relationships. I think one of our goals is that, if you come out on an event, there's no membership or dues or anything like that. If you come out to one event and that's it, but you found out that you love, walleye fishing, or you love hunting for morel mushrooms, or whatever the case might be, that's something that you can carry on, maybe in your own life, or find some individuals that are in your personal social network that you can do those things with. But at least we could help maybe get that person to that first step of getting them out of the house, because that is one of the biggest hurdles, and it was for me personally, was physically getting out of the house and doing something. And once you get to that, then you really open up the spectrum. I think one of the other things that I could mention too is that, veterans that we work very closely with the Milwaukee VA, and starting soon we'll be working closely with Madison and Toma VA as well. But the Milwaukee VA, for a couple of years now, we've been taking patients that are in the residential treatment program for mental health out on different events. Like I said, scuba diving, kayak fishing, regular fishing, pontoon fishing. We haven't done any hunting with those yet, but those programs end. You go through, and wherever you're at in the process, they end. And the ability to connect with those veterans while they're in the hospital, while they're in that environment, they know that once they get out, that there's somebody that they can still connect to, or call, or find out if there's something to do, because the VA is not always going to be there to pick you up, or to provide that type of a facility 24 hours a day for the rest of your life. So helping be there for that transitional period. Now, just seeing that over the past couple of years has been incredibly powerful. We've got veterans that have gone through treatment that are now volunteering with us, and it's just really neat to see that transformation. And it's really powerful for them to come back and then kind of guide the next group, or the next session of veterans that find themselves at the hospital. Because if you are in that situation where you're, an inpatient at the VA, things have probably gotten pretty bad.
So what has been one of your favorite memories or moments so far since you started doing this?
Oh, there's so many. It's really hard. I mean, I guess I'd have to go with, my personal experience with crivets, just having that aha moment for myself, because none of the rest of this would have happened had I not been able to really dig deep. And for Jason, I think, and Rob, our other co-founder, I think they'd probably say the same thing, where we kind of had our aha moments together, and that coalescing of, us three as a tight-knit group, and wanting to take that next step forward. I mean, to be perfectly honest, now, if you want to call it therapy, the therapy that I get is helping others. And that is such a true statement for so many veterans, and especially first responders too. We've all got this service mentality, and very rarely do we want to be served. That's a lot of veterans don't feel like they deserve these free trips or things like that. And so getting them out and then showing them that there's an opportunity to continue to serve their fellow veterans or serve their fellow first responders, that really helps fill a large gap. So every time that I'm able to go out and organize and help run an event and see other people come through, that every time I see that happen, that's those are my highlight moments, and I get those literally every day. So, but if I had to pick one, it would definitely be the crivets moment.
No, that's great. So how can veterans and first responders join your organization or reach out to you guys? What's the best way?
Well, the easiest way probably is just to Google us, Wisconsin Hero Outdoors, and we've got our website up and running, which has got all of our contact info. It's got our calendar of events up there, and I'd say about 90% of our events we put up there as public events. We do have some that are restricted to the VA, just per some rules that we have to follow with them. And a number of events that we do are kind of like shotgun events where a few people want to get together and go do something, and we have the equipment to do it, and we'll post that on Facebook. So following us on Facebook is huge. We don't get sponsors or anything by the number of likes or whatever we get. The number of likes we get to me indicates the number of people that we're able to reach out and help, whether it's a civilian population that knows a veteran or first responder. That's how we want, and to be perfectly honest on that, and two, individuals that are hunkering down or isolating, that may be our only opportunity to reach them is through Facebook. So we've got a group Facebook page, which is kind of how we started on social media. Just we had formed our group, and that's how we tossed out stuff that we were doing. And then once we formalized the nonprofit side of things, then we formed our nonprofit group. So we've got a group page that individuals post different pictures and things from the outings, and then we've got our formal nonprofit page. So Facebook and our website are the best way to do it. I've got my contact information on there, and we have all of our, or not all of them up yet, but a number of our events between ice fishing and the different pontoon fishing events, and we try to promote other organizations that have things going as well that have a similar mission to us.
Well, Eric, I want to first thank you for your service, and thank you for joining me today on the podcast. I think what your organization is doing is just incredible. I can tell you're really passionate about it, and I think that you connecting veterans and first responders to the outdoors and getting them to kind of come out again and helping them with what they're dealing with, I think that's just such a important thing. And you're just doing some great stuff, and I'm glad you're able to come on and share that with me today.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the support, and trust me, the outpouring of love from the community is very overwhelming. So we couldn't do this without people like you helping us spread the word. So thank you very much for the support.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I want to thank Eric again for joining me on the podcast. The work that Wisconsin Hero Outdoors is doing is the perfect example of why the outdoors is so important. It's providing a place for those that served to step away from the noise of their lives and just be for a while. Just be out there and just be who they want to be. And I think what really benefits them is that they're in the presence of others who know the difficulties and the stresses of the jobs that they have done or have been through. This is a great organization. I'm going to put links up to how you can contact this organization. I'm so proud that they're in Wisconsin and they're doing this for Wisconsin veterans and first responders. And if you know a veteran or first responder that could benefit from the help that Wisconsin Hero Outdoors offers, please reach out to them and let them know that there are people out there that they can talk to, and people who will listen to them, and people who, maybe they'll even try something that they never thought they would do before. If you'd like to learn more, please follow the links in the show notes. Again, this is a great organization, and I'm so glad that Eric was able to join me and talk about what they're doing. So please, if you have a chance, check out their site and help them out if you can in any way that you can. Even if it's just to simply get the word out that they're out there and they're helping the ones who are out there helping us when we need them most. So thanks again for joining me on this week's podcast. I am your host, Jason, and we'll talk to you again next week. Thanks for listening to the Wisconsin's Outdoor Explorer podcast. For more great information about being an outdoor explorer, visit our website at wisconsinsoutdoorexplorer.com. Be sure to check out the blog page and follow us on social media. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.